So Kevin Durant and James Harden and maybe Kyrie Irving, that's going to be a big three for Brooklyn. What are we talking about there? What do you even do with that? But first, so that's Brooklyn in the East. That this trade happened, let's start here. That it happened today, that it had to happen today. A direct result of Harden's comments last night and everyone in the franchise's reaction to that. I mean, DeMarcus Cousins was the voice of professionalism and reason throughout all of this. He wasn't allowed to practice today, but now that it has happened, George Sedano, around the horn to you, what are these Brooklyn Nets with James Harden?
Well, they're the front runner to win the Eastern Conference. I don't think there's any question about that, Tony. If you look at those three guys, there's not a better big three, maybe in all of the sport, let alone in the Eastern Conference. So let's take a look at just what they have to deal with now. The questions will arise, are there enough balls for them to all play together? And that is a real legitimate conversation that needs to be had. It is something that Steve Nash and Mike D'Antoni and all of them will have to figure out and will probably take sleepless nights to figure out. I remember covering a team with multiple stars, a trio, in fact, of Wade, LeBron, and Bosh, who everyone claimed would have similar issues. And yes, at times they did. It's going to be messy for the Brooklyn Nets. But ultimately, stars win in this league, Tony. And if you're going to win, these are three of the best stars you can have. You have two top 5 or 6 players in Durant and Harden. You've got Kyrie Irving, who is easily a top 10 player if he's on the floor and actually playing the game. And then on the flip side of that, for Philly, I wonder how much of this was they were never, as in Houston, never going to trade him to Philadelphia because that's what Daryl Morey wanted. And they're still upset about the fact that Morey left and said he would take a sabbatical, and it lasted like 6 minutes before he ended up with the Philadelphia 76ers. So they were going to try to tax him as much as...
We're going to put a bookmark in that for a second. But also, I know Sedano is going for the world record in points. I love the idea. So the big three you covered in Miami, yes, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. On the basketball court, they had to settle through some issues. This is not just on the basketball court. You're dealing with Irving and Harden, personalities, and Durant, the likes of which I don't even know. And it's a rookie head coach. Let's bring in Tim Calishaw here, a veteran presence on this show. What did Brooklyn just do?
I love the Sedano enthusiasm that briefly got him up to about 15 points before you came to your senses. Yeah, I mean, they have great talent. There's no question. Is that any way that's a good fit? I think Kevin Durant's going to be standing around like this a lot of games going, when is the ball coming over here? Kyrie and Harden want to have it the whole time. Now, they may figure it out this season. I don't know if it'll happen that quickly. It doesn't always go that quickly, and this is a very different James Harden than the one who played with Kevin Durant 9 or 10 years ago. He wants the ball all the time. So, it's fabulous, to see them, to see how these three work together. And but I think they're a long way from being the top team in the East.
Emily Kaplan.
Tim, with all due respect, and I'm afraid that's going to be a phrase that's going to be banned soon. Durant has played with Clay and Curry. He's used to not having the ball. George brought up a great point. If there's something I've learned about this league, it is the petty league. And I really do feel like they dangled Philly out there just to put a middle finger to Daryl Morey. But I do think that Philly made out great in this. They dodged a bullet. If you watched that game last night, Joel Embiid, to me, made an MVP case. He looked lethargic at first. The team didn't look great. All of a sudden, he turned it on and refused to lose in the second game of a back-to-back. They need to go full score with the team that they have, and they don't need the drama that is James Harden.
The drama that is James Harden. Let's just sit in that for a second, Kevin Blackistone, because I know what he did yesterday at the podium after the game and how he basically, said goodbye. And the way it was taken by the franchise today was something that was really burning you, even before this trade happened. So you can sit in that, or you can go after the Brooklyn Nets now. Go ahead, Kev.
Well, and I've got to start with that because he threw his teammates under the bus, talking about the chemistry problems that they have. Well, he's the chemical in that chemistry that made it a problem. And then to say that they didn't have any talent. They just got John Wall, who I think was an all-star in this league and has been doing all he can to come back from injury to play again in this league. DeMarcus Cousins, the same kind of thing, threw him under the bus. And so now he goes to Brooklyn. So what happens to James Harden in Brooklyn? He's not going to be the man. Let's be clear about this. That is Kevin Durant's team. Kevin Durant is the one with multiple championships. Kevin Durant is the team player. So he's going to have to settle under Kevin Durant. And also, let's not forget, Kyrie Irving, say what you want to, but he was a big game winner in an NBA Finals. That's something that James Harden has yet to do. We've talked about him disappearing in the postseason. So he's going to have a lot to live up to. And, man, I feel sorry for Steve Nash having to handle these three personalities.
You believe it's something he's going to be able to handle?
I don't know. I mean, we don't know because Steve Nash hasn't coached. I mean, this is a horrible situation for a rookie coach. Forget the player right now. This is the first time he has run an NBA team, and he's got to do it with Kyrie Irving and James Harden. Good luck.
All right, so no one is as bullish as George Sedano is on the Nets. You call them the best team in the East now. You can come back in, George.
I do think that. And look, I understand what Kevin's point is, but here's the situation. Harden doesn't have to be the best player on this team, and he's had shortcomings because he's had to be the best player. That is no longer the case with Kevin Durant on this roster. And I know people can point back to 2012 when he was the sixth man and he had a tough finals against LeBron, Wade, and Bosh and those guys, but we're 8 years removed. This is a completely different James Harden than we saw in 2012. So I actually think this could be an opportunity where he can flourish because he has that experience of playing with Kevin Durant and because he doesn't have to be the best player anymore.
But the James Harden that is existing now is a completely different James Harden. He is the man, or he thinks of himself as the man. And I just can't see him going to Brooklyn and all of a sudden going, okay, I'm going to ride in the back seat.
George?
Don't see it happening.
Well, but why would he want to get traded to Brooklyn because there's no way you're James Harden. There's no way you're getting traded to Brooklyn and thinking you're the man. You know that Kevin Durant is the best player. There are no discussions about that.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.